Alright, we're going to get back into some more properties of exponents. This is 1.1b, the second lesson of this week. And we're going to look at product property to start here. And what this property says is that when we are multiplying same bases, so in this case a and a, we combine our exponents by adding them. So it becomes a to the m plus n. So you can go ahead and take a second, pause the video, write down this definition. It says when multiplying same bases, add the exponents. And then notice the last part, it says the base stays the same. So if we jump into example 1 here on letter A, we've got x squared times y to the third times x to the fifth. So it's just like when we have like terms, the only things we can combine here are these x's because those are the same bases. And in this case, since it's multiplication between all of this, the way that we combine the exponents is by adding them. So our final answer just looks like this, x squared and x to the fifth. I add those exponents, becomes x to the seventh power. And then that y has nothing to be added with, so it just stays y to the third. So when we're multiplying same bases, we add the exponents. Scrolling down to letter B, we've got 3 squared times 3 to the sixth power. So again, the bases are the same, 3 and 3, and so we can combine these and simplify this expression by adding the exponents. This just becomes 3 to the eighth power. Notice the 3 stayed the same, right? The base stays the same. So it becomes 3 to the eighth power. Scrolling down to letter C, again we've got x and x, so we've got x to the fourth power times x to the negative 1. We're going to add up those exponents because this is multiplication here, so we add the exponents. That becomes x to the third power, right? Because 4 plus negative 1 is x to the third power. And then going down to letter D here, we look for our like terms first. We've got y and y here. Right? So we can go ahead and combine those. That's y to the fourth power and y to the negative 6. So if I add those up, that actually becomes y to the negative 2 power. And then of course this x just stays the same. And remember what we said last lesson is that we can't have negative exponents in our final answer. And remember what we do with negative exponents is we change their level. So the x squared is going to stay where it is, but the y to the negative 2 has to be moved down below, so it becomes y squared in the denominator. All right, moving to the quotient property. Now we're dividing same bases. You can take a second, pause the video, and jot down this definition here. It says when dividing same bases, subtract the exponents. And again, the base stays the same. So you can see in this example we have a to the m power divided by a to the n power. So this time instead of adding those exponents, since we're dividing here, we're going to go ahead and subtract the exponents. Let's take a look at what it looks like here in example 2. Letter A has x to the fourth over x. Remember this x on the bottom is really just x to the first power. Since it's division, we go ahead and subtract the exponents. So this becomes 4 minus 1, gives me x to the third. Scrolling down to letter B, same idea here, like terms, so x to the fifth over x squared, we go ahead and subtract those. That becomes x to the third power. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the top minus the bottom. So for the b's, it's going to be 2 minus 7. Gives me b to the negative fifth. Remember, we can't have negative exponents. And so this last step here is that I have to take the term with a negative exponent. In this case, it's b and move it down below. So it's going to be x to the third over b to the fifth. Scrolling down to letter C, a lot happening here in letter C. As you can see, along the top of my fraction here in the numerator, I've got some like terms in the numerator. I've got x and x here. Notice in this numerator, it's all multiplication. So you remember from a couple minutes ago, when we're multiplying to combine the exponents, we add them. So this becomes x to the 5th power, because 3 plus 2 gives me x to the 5th. And then, of course, this b is still sitting here, over x, which I haven't touched yet. Remember, this is really x to the 1st. And now we have division here, right? And when we have division, we subtract the exponents. So 5 minus 1 is going to go ahead and give me x to the 4th power. And that b to the 3rd really never did anything, just kind of sat there the whole time. Moving on to letter D. There's a couple ways we can do this one here for letter D. Notice I have negative exponent in this one, right? Because I have an x to the negative 2 on the bottom. I can make that positive first and then start to simplify this. So I'm going to rewrite it as x to the 5th. That stays where it is. This x to the negative 2, I'm going to move it up top to make it x to the positive 2 power. And then the y's I haven't touched yet. Now up here in the numerator, we've got multiplication, right? So I can go ahead and combine those x's by adding the exponents. That becomes x to the 7th. And for the y's, we're going to do 1 minus 4 gives me y to the negative 3rd. And then, of course, we can't have that negative exponent, so I'm going to go ahead and move that down below. So if they're on the same level, that's multiplication, so you add the exponents. If they're on different levels, that's division, so you subtract the exponents. Let's go to the last one, letter E. For letter E, notice we've got a 4 and an 8. Those are just normal numbers, right? So I can just go ahead and reduce that like I would normally with the fraction here. So 4 over 8 is the same thing as 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and start to simplify that. That's going to reduce to 1 over 2. And then let's see, x to the 5th over x to the 1st. Subtracting those because they're on different levels, that gives me x to the 4th. And then b to the 7th over b to the 4th. Go ahead and subtract them again. That gives me b to the 3rd. And then, of course, I don't really need this 1 in the front when I'm just multiplying by it. So I can rewrite this as x to the 4th, b to the 3rd over 2. And that's it.